Welcome to Fixed Ride Explore, and today we're going to be talking about the KTM 690 Enduro R, a bike I love, a bike I own, and I've been riding since 2010. I've ridden all the derivatives of this bike and I've taken them on some amazing trips. Overland, motorways, mountains, deserts, river crossings. So I'm going to give you my candid opinion on whether this is really the unicorn of the KTM range. And hopefully you'll be able to work out after this video whether this is the bike for you. So have a quick look at the specs of the bike. I'm not going to make this a spec video, but I'm just going to be really quick and go through what I feel is important. So it's got an 18 rear wheel, a 21 front, so you've got a good choice of off-road tyres. It sits on WP Explorer suspension with 250mm of travel. The engine is slung in a trellis frame, and it's got a plastic tank that sits on the rear. The engine is a single cylinder 700cc, knocking out 74 brake horsepower. The whole weight of this bike is only 146 kilograms. The power to weight ratio here is huge. The styling of the bike is an enduro bike. It's narrow, so you can move your weight forward and back easily and side to side easily. The weight is slung low, so it feels very light when you're riding it. I really enjoy it. The riding position is an enduro bike. The seat is narrow. It's not meant to be sat on. You're meant to be standing up riding this bike. This is an off-road vehicle. It really is. You can ride it on the road. I've done thousands and thousands of miles on these on long motorway sections, but this is an off-road bike. Do bear that in mind. But how have these bikes changed since 2009? Well, to be absolutely honest, I don't think they've changed much. If you were to hop off a 2009 version, which I rode around Morocco, and jumped onto this, the ergonomics would feel really similar. But the materials seem to have improved. The design is a lot more modern. The earlier bikes did suffer from a little bit of vibration coming from the engine. Now, I've ridden those bikes for thousands of kilometers, and I didn't find the vibration too bad. So if you are looking at an older model, it's still worth looking at. The newer model, I think from 2019 onwards for the KTM, has a counterbalance shaft in it, which improves the vibration on the handlebars. And there is a definite improvement. You've got rider aids on the later models. You've got 2 power modes. You've got traction control. You've got ABS. And all of these things can be disabled to turn it into a raw, aggressive enduro off-road machine. The big question is this the bike for you? Now, I'm an advocate of working out what you want to do on a bike before you buy the bike. If you're going to be riding nothing but roads and you're never going to take a bike off-road, this isn't really the bike for you. This is geared towards the off-road adventurer and the off-road rider. If you're going to be doing sections of tarmac with sections of off-road, great bike, absolutely superb, especially if you wanted a bigger displacement, so you've got a lot more power at your disposal for when you're riding off-road or even when you're on the road. If you're going to be riding completely off-road, you're never going to be hitting the road at all, and you're just going to be doing extreme enduro, there are better options again. Get yourself an enduro bike. If there was a sliding scale between extreme off-road riding and cruisy tarmac, perfect roads, this would sit about a third of the way along the sliding scale. It can churn out the miles on a highway, but the comfort and the ergonomics aren't necessarily there out of the box. It will do extreme enduro, but it's heavier than an enduro bike, so it sits about a third of the way along. So if your trip or how you want to use this bike contains some road and some off-road riding, this is a really good option. It is very light. If you want to get into adventure motorcycling, you want a powerful motorcycle, but you don't want the weight, then this is the bike for you. It really is. There are some modifications that you can make on this bike, and if you want me to, I can make a video all about those modifications. So if you're an expert, is this the bike for you? Absolutely. I've been riding these since 2010. This bike is still better than I'll ever be. It really is. I class myself as an intermediate rider. I'm capable, I'm no Graham Jarvis, but I'm steady. I can get the job done. This bike is better than me. This bike will be better than me if I practice every single day for the next 10 years. This bike will still be better than me. So if you're an expert, I would say this is a superb bike. Let's talk about a few of the things that you need to be aware of if you're buying a KTM 690 Enduro R. The first thing is the seat height. It's 910 millimeters tall. That's unladen 910 millimeters tall. Once you've set your suspension up, that should drop 75 millimeters because of your suspension sag, but it's still unladen 910 millimeters. So you're going to have to throw your leg over 910 millimeters. That's about 35.5 inches. My inside leg is 33. As soon as I sit on the bike, it seems like a really good fit for me. But if you are a shorter rider, take that into consideration. I've got friends who are short riders. They ride these, they get on well with them fine. So it's not a deal breaker, but definitely something you need to consider. The second thing that you need to consider is that when this comes from the factory, it has the basic single headlight on the front. I've changed mine, so the lighting on the front isn't that good. So I've got LED lights on this one. I'll do a video about all the mods that I made on this bike before I took it on my first trip. If you want it, leave a comment. Also, it doesn't have any wind protection, so you do get all that wind buffeting on your chest. If it's a cold day, that can make you feel colder. If you're riding lots and lots and lots of miles, especially on the highway, then that can actually add to the fatigue of a long ride as well, because you're constantly being buffeted by the wind. The other drawback is probably the gearing. It's quite a tall gearbox on this. Before I took this off-road, I changed the gearing. I can do a video on that if you want. Please leave a comment. The exhaust can get extremely hot. So the standard OEM exhaust has a catalytic converter in it, which means it stores the heat because the exhaust has got to pass through the catalytic converter. So it gets red hot. So out of the factory, I wouldn't say these are perfect. There are a couple of common problems that you get with these, especially with the older models, that you definitely want to sort out before you take it on a long trip. But these things are minor, and nearly all of these things you can get over. Well, if you're thinking about buying one of these bikes, first decide where you're going to use it. If you're never going to take it off-road, look at a different bike. Maybe even the Supermoto version. That's great on the road. But if you are going to be doing a few miles and you're going to be riding off into the middle of nowhere, this is a great option. It really is. Is it a unicorn? Can it do everything really well? There's no such thing as unicorns. So decide how you're going to use it and who you are as a rider before you purchase a 690. It's an animal. It's an extreme beast. It's a big enduro bike that's extremely capable. Every time you ride it, it will put a smile on your face. Is it the only bike you need? Tough question, but an observation. I've got a light enduro bike. I've got a heavy adventure bike, and I love them. But I always take the KTM 690 out, which sits in the middle. It's an absolute cracker. So if you want to see me make more videos about what modifications I made to this bike, literally the first week I bought it, let me know. I will talk through all the modifications that I deemed essential before I took this on a trip. If you want me to go through routine maintenance, you want me to do valve shims or oil changes, let me know. Please leave a comment. But more importantly, please subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, I stop making videos. I need subscribers, I need good comments, I need thumbs up, so give it a like. That makes me make videos. Well, that's it for my overview of the KTM 690. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. It's the first video that I've uploaded to Fixed Ride Explore for many years, but I'm hoping to kickstart the channel. So if you want to see more videos, please let me know what you want to see and I'll make them. But you've got to subscribe and you've got to like it. Thank you very much.